Hello everyone, welcome back to a new replay cast. Today we're going to be having Stats versus Cure, which was recently played in the Holy Moly March finals. It's going to be a best of 3, and in the bottom right we're going to be having DPG Cure, of course Dragon Phoenix Gaming, and in the top left Africa SC2 Stats. So let's have a look at this game on Nightshade, which is one of the shorter maps in the map pool. It feels long, but has a very short rush distance. 2 big areas to defend your third at. This area, you have this area. A lot of space to cover, some dead space in between your third and main. Some dead space between, or well, behind your natural really. So you can definitely put a couple of drops there if you want to. We'll see if any of that will happen here. We see Stats getting his first scout into the main base of Cure. Sees the timing of this barracks and knows, okay, this is a barracks before refinery. We'll be able to adjust accordingly. He does have a wall on the high ground to deal with that Reaper early on. That should block completely. And then we'll get into a Nexus and a pylon, most likely. Now here's always the dance between the probes and the SCVs, trying to get a block onto this command center. As you can see, 400 minerals are available now, and Stats managed to block it for 20 or so minerals, which isn't a lot. Ideally you'd stop it slightly longer, but this is fine. I mean, every kind of blockage is good. We see a Reaper start as well, will be followed up by a Marine into a factory, and we see Stats just happily moving back with this probe. Oh no, we see some tricks on this probe. I'm not quite sure. It could just be that he's going around for a secondary scout of some sort, see if there's a bunker, maybe scout around for any kind of proxy from the Terran, but it could also be that it's going to be this looks more like a proxy location to me, so it could be that it's going to be a third pylon Stargate, but with the Stalker as a follow-up, that seems odd. So I'm gonna be guessing Dark Shrine, but could still also be just a Twilight Council at home. In that case, this almost has to be a Dark Shrine. You see Stats will be sending out his Adept. Reaper did go back home. What did he scout? Really scouted nothing. Has no idea on what tech there is. Doesn't know how many units there is. And here comes the Adept. We'll get met by this little task force. This is one of the newer build orders. Terrans always used to play Reaper Marine Reactor. Nowadays they play a lot of Reaper Marine Reactor, which allows them to deal with that Adept a little easier. Still need to get the bunker, of course, eventually. Cure will be scouting around the map. What is the path he has set out for this Reaper? I do wonder. I won't be able to find this proxy Dark Shrine. So won't be able to get spotted here. That it's going to be DTs unless Cure decides to scout the whole map. I think I've seen a proxy like this before on this map against Maru. It might have also been Stats, might have been there, I can't remember, in the super tournament, where Maru did end up finding it over here in the top right corner. But here we just see a Dark Shrine being unspotted. Oh, what's this probe gonna do? Second pylon maybe? This, I wouldn't mind building it a little closer over here, but I understand this location as well. As we see, Stats is desperately trying to figure out exactly where those units of Cure are. Has a Stalker patrolling near his third, couple of units in the wall here. Dark Shrine getting close to being done. Also has a Robo in the wall, so we'll be playing it well, somewhat safe. Might be for an observer, could also be for a prism. A lot of the time, something you'll see is you'll see the Protoss warp in 2 DTs. Try to run into one into the main, one into the next one. If that doesn't work, he'll go in with the prism. So initially you try just by ground, and then afterwards you try by air. Doesn't seem to be the case, as there's no prism on the way. There's not enough money for a Nexus and a prism either, as the double gas has already been taken for Stats. Now on the other end, we do have a 3 Rex follow-up and a Raven for Cure. Cure could smell it. He knew exactly what was going to happen. I have no clue how. Started with a double mine drop, gets 2 workers, pushes away the Reaper and the Hellion at the front, and 3 workers, loses 1 mine, that's kind of okay. Losing the Hellion is annoying, but the Hellion won't really do too much in the army. It's not the biggest deal. Oh, almost missed the DTs going, and I bet these killed a bunch of Marines here. Yeah, 10 Marines did go down. Raven is out though, so with the auto turret, this should just get cleaned up, honestly. Don't really want to miss that auto turret, of course. It's going to be playing it real safe. Ah, won't even use the auto turret. 2 Marines will clean this up. There's 1 observer on the map. Is there a prism yet? No, there's no prism. Oh! Mine shoots another shot. Gets another 2 kills. So, a little bit of a hectic early game here in Stats versus Cure on Nightshade. Now, at the end of all of that, we see units lost is in favor of Stats, but losing probes is very painful. And he isn't that many probes ahead right now, so he does have to be careful. The thing that's in his advantage is that right now Cure does not have a 3rd base yet. He's only now starting it, which means there's only 2 mules, and as we can see in the income tab, Stats actually is in a pretty healthy position income wise, and he's going to get even healthier, of course, because he's the one who has a 3rd base. Once he reaches 60 workers, his income is just going to be higher than Cure, who is just relying on, well, it's a good amount of work, I mean 50 workers. The problem is that there's no base for those workers. He's slightly oversaturated in the natural base. Now we do have Stim and Combat Shield finishing up quickly. We'll see what Cure decides to do with that. Should have a little bit of a push in him with that Raven. 3 medevacs. That initial medevac will be heading a long way around, honestly. Might drop into the main. Okay, we'll be heading into that dead space that I mentioned earlier. And then can decide to either drop over here into the 3rd base or go into the main. It's a very nasty location where if you put 4 stalkers here and he drops in the 3rd base and you come from the front, all of a sudden you just disabled 4 stalkers into this area, which there is no blink, there is charge on the way, so that might be a little bit hard to deal with here for Stats. Stats does not have any units. Oh, he does have some units pre-split. 3 in the natural base. Does have some vision in that natural as well, though. No real vision on the map. No zealots, no probes, no pylons being spread out. So, oh, here goes Cure. We'll be heading into the main base. Stats reaction is quick and swift. Warps in 3 stalkers, 1 zealot, and managed to push out this medevac. There's some Raven around in the natural with the cannon, and the 3 stalkers managed to deal with that. Stats has a very old army. He has charge researched, but he only has 4 zealots. He has 2 immortals, 4 sentries, and 13 stalkers. This is the kind of army you'd expect with a blink first, but he did really go for a charge. So the way he wants to fight here is he wants to force field and cut off a part of the army. Meanwhile, we have a DT heading into the natural base. Here we'll be able to snipe 5, 6 workers perhaps. He gets lucky. Yeah. 6 workers do go down and get cleaned up. Meanwhile, Cure decided to move in. Managed to get the burrow of the Widow in a decent location. Doesn't really hit too much. A couple of sentries do get hit. But a lot of forces, a lot of crap. Not the best forces either, but I mean, there's 2 immortals in this army, and it just didn't feel like it was quite enough here for Cure. Now, the one thing that Cure did well is this drop, which I also missed. It managed to kill 10 workers. So that was the drop that was over here. While he pushed into this area, I was like, alright, I'm gonna drop 8 Marines over here, just focus on probes. So right now, worker count is relatively even. There is 6 gas for Stats. And he has a nice nice gateway count as well, I think. He'd be up to 8, yeah, 8 gates. Storm on the way, but his worker count is low. He's very far behind in economy right now. If you see, the income is heavily in favor of Cure, who is mining with an even worker count, plus the 3 mules, which counts for about 9 workers, of course. 1 mule, about 3 workers. 3.5. So we have this prism heading into the main base. Now, Storm is halfway done. I wouldn't be surprised if Stats is like, hey, you know what? Once Storm is finished, I'm going to be heading into a push of some sort, because economically, it's never going to, you know, get to something good again this game. His forge base hasn't even started yet. There's no second forge. He does have 8 gates, but ideally he'd be getting up to 10 soon if you want to go to a higher worker count. Now, it's a good drop here. This DT will manage to take out a couple of units. If he would have lost that prism, that would have been really bad. Because I think this is the prism he wants to push with. There is Storm right now. 3 Templar. All of them have a single Storm each. There is Guardian Shield as well. So that should definitely help in this fight. Big Warp in close to the 3rd phase of Cure by Stats as well. But Stats is engaging this army. This looks very difficult to engage in the other Stats. First Storm does very, very little. But it seems like... Oh! The flank from the south actually does help. 8 Zealots just push forward and manage to kind of push Cure back up onto this cliff. Cure's like, wait, I don't actually have that much here to liberate her trying to siege up, but there's no more mines, and mines are really what you need against those higher Zealot counts, and this is looking very dicey all of a sudden for Cure. I'm not quite sure what happened. That fight, the Storms didn't seem to really hit, but Stats' army just looks so extremely powerful here. No Storms available yet. There's still a here. We don't mind does hit that Immortal activated the barrier. Might get targeted down right now by Cure. No pickup with the prism. The 22 workers have already gone down, and GG gets called. Stats wins game number 1. Welcome back to the second game with, in the top part of the map, spawning as the blue Terran is going to be Cure. There's an interesting picture at his command center, and in the bottom, well, not quite the bottom, right on the 3 o'clock position, we have Africa SE2 Stats, who took game number 1. And we'll be heading out onto the map with his first probe again. Stats, of course, one of those guys that plays it very safe and solid. Ooh, see through the floor. I always wanted to have this in my house. That looks pretty cool. I don't think I feel quite comfortable walking over this, honestly, if I was in space. But I guess if you're fighting the Zerg, you can do anything. Oh, nice, never seen that. What do we have on this side of the map? Alright, we have another barracks first, and we have another core first. Now this is one of the shortest Reaper distance maps, where the Reaper can arrive in your base at, I believe, something like 224, 223, which means if you play Nexus before core, your Adept is going to be delayed by like 6-7 seconds, and you're gonna just lose 3-4 workers, which is why we see core before gateway on this map majority of the time. And why we see barracks before refinery for Terran majority of the time, to get that Reaper there does 2-3 seconds faster. Cure does have an SCV here. Sometimes you'll see Terrans try to build a bunker here outside of that pylon vision. And then once that bunker finishes, Reaper makes its way across the map, sits into the bunker, and is really, really annoying because it will just deny the mining of the Protoss for so freaking long. Now, oh my god, look at the timing of this Reaper. 218 it's over here, and usually it can jump up this area. Maybe the actual timing might be something like 222, 221. So yeah, definitely can't play Nexus before core on a map like that. We do see Adept trying to chase this Reaper away. Bunkers on the way at home. Single Marine this time for Cure, so slight variation. And this is really the most common thing we see from Korean Protoss. They get that first Adept, they shade onto the Reaper once, and then the second shade they'll start moving across the map, trying to do some damage, trying to deny some mining onto that natural, and also denying a mule. So around this time the mule becomes available again. Ideally Terran would be throwing it onto that natural base, but because the Adept is here, Terran can't really throw it here, because if the Adept shades in, just having to pull away the mule is very costly. So instead he will put it into the main base. Now what do we have out of stats? Oh, what is this? This looks like an interesting build, but completely gets spotted here by Cure. Sees the timing of the 2 extra gateways, sees the complete lack of tech. But he's already ready. Like, he has mines on the way, he has a bunker, he has marines. I'm honestly not quite sure what Stats' plan is with this push, but how many units is there on the map? Okay, so there's 2 Stalkers, there's 1 Adept, he's gonna warp in maybe 2 more Stalkers. Or maybe, yeah, 3 more Stalkers. I was thinking maybe a Sentry to force field the bunker, but this mine is so annoying already. And if he hadn't scouted, this mine probably is in the mineral line, right? It's gonna be trying to defend against any potential Stargate units, or it might be a little bit over here. Over here, try and catch that Oracle. But now that it's in the front, it means it's going to kill 1 unit for free. Then it might die, but that's a good deal for the Widow Mine if you're being attacked. Now we see the follow-up here for Cure. We'll be getting into a tank and a Raven. I kind of like... I also wouldn't have minded Banshee here though. I think Banshee against this kind of build is really, really cool to do. Now, Stats is moving forward right now. 8 Stalkers, I believe, on the map. And first Stalker will die for free. Right clicks the bunker, which actually is getting low very fast. So Kier not completely ready. He knew what was coming, but really didn't prepare well enough apparently. Now Stats is in. Oh, he's attacking his SCV. Couple of SCVs do go down. There is a tank here, but it doesn't siege quite yet. Does need to be careful. Needs to protect, of course. Just managed to get the proper protection in. 3 more Stalkers joined the fight though. 7 workers have gone down so far. This is looking really, really bad for Cure. We might just lose this game, I believe. 11 workers have gone down. 27 workers to 42 right now. And oh, I would have loved to see just 2 Zealots being warped in here to tank these extra tank shots. Stalkers are good, but they of course take extra damage from tanks. And you can kind of guess that there's going to be a second tank. If your Stats at this point, he should not be going in with those extra Stalkers. He really should not be. He's getting a prism. This is a very good start. He killed 11 workers, was almost continuously producing works himself as a 3rd base on the Ray right now. If we take a look here for Cure, he does have 3 wrecks done. There's no engineering bay though. So any kind of push he's going to be able to do is just going to be with stim and combat shield, and it's going to be with quite a low unit count. He doesn't really have the money to produce and SCVs and units. I think he's going to be producing units or just units instead, but Stats in a pretty good position. I wouldn't have minded seeing Colossi here, honestly, to add some safety to what he has already. Charge might be fine, but it's going to be very close with the stim and combat, and if you get 1 Colossi out against a guy that has almost no army, it might be difficult. Of course, the Colossi not as hot against tanks as charges, so I do understand that position. Now we have this Raven moving forward, and this is one of the pain points of this map, of course, that there's so much dead space, which means that Terran can always come in. On the other hand, it also means that the pros can always come in if they have a Prism and 4 Stalkers, for example. So in the main base of Cure right now, this Prism is doing some damage, and in the main base of Stats, this auto turret just killed 3 workers, and somehow Cure managed to get back to a really nice worker count. I feel like Stats hasn't really been building too many workers. Like, he just lost 6, but he should have been further ahead. I don't think a lot of the chrono boost has been going into that Nexi, while Cure apparently has found a way to kind of get back into this game, and I'm impressed. I really thought this looked very poor. He also had the eBay was in front, which I completely missed. That makes sense. So it does have +1 as well. So this is going to be a lot less all-in than I thought it was. Don't get me wrong, he needs to do some damage with the upcoming push. He has 2 tanks and a Raven. 3rd tank is on the way. Might switch this factory at this point. Might continue tank production, but I mean, there's only 52 workers really. This kind of looks like a normal game. Maybe even slightly in favor of Cure when it comes to the worker count. Is there anything I'm truly worried about? These 2 Immortals might pose somewhat of a threat. The 9 Stalkers will be able to delay the push out a bit. Where are those Stalkers? There's 4 here in the Prism. Then there's 5 here in the main. Oh, this is so annoying to deal with. Being Stats. And the one thing that I do love is this Viking. That Cure build. Now, in my opinion, Cure should be using this Viking and this Raven together to clear out this airspace, because that leaves such a big area vulnerable for Stats that Stats will continuously need to leave a big amount of units in his main base. Instead, we're seeing I'm not sure what this Viking is doing, honestly. Oh, maybe he's just covering his own airspace. So I thought it was going to be to deny vision of Stats, but instead Cure's gonna be using it to deny any kind of prism play from moving forward. I don't mind that. I think that's alright as well. I still would have liked if he killed just 1 or 2 observers with it in combination with the Raven. So scans, sees that there's no gas on this 3rd base. I think Cure's just gonna stay home, honestly. He's like, you know what, I feel confident enough. This was a scan where it's like, if there's 6 gas here, and he sees a probe, or like 4 probes, long distance mining from the 4th, he's probably gonna be attacking. But right now it's like, perhaps staying at home with a higher tank count with that Raven might be the wiser play. So finally switching into a couple of mines. Together with the tank should be able to nicely fortify this position. Armory is on the way, Ghost Academy. Do we have a... this is a 2nd eBay, so we'll be getting a very fast 2-2 while we see no 2nd forge coming out of Stats yet. No extra gases yet either, so Stats most likely will be going for a push. Yeah, here we go. Do we have a Prism? No, no Prism on the way, and there's another Immortal. I mean, this won't really help if you want to push. I think both players might be too afraid to do anything. I'm never a big fan of this kind of push if you don't have a prism with it. Like I like pushes obviously, especially if you did some damage in the early game, but right now Stats delayed his fourth base a lot, so it kind of feels like he almost needs to push. Because this fourth base should have been built like a full minute ago almost. With the state the game was. Right now, Cure is in a superior economic position. He's getting better upgrades. I mean, once +2 armor starts. We only have +2 attack on the way here for stats. +2 armor, we'll have to wait a little bit. Second Robo as well as Storm, but Templars are kind of useless against the new EMP with the enhanced shockwaves. So shouldn't be that difficult for Cure to basically nullify all of those Templar in Stats' army or enhanced shockwaves. We have a skirmish here in the middle of the map. Cure will have to leave here as this army isn't big enough to truly deal with that. We still have a big portion of the army defending this general area. I would love to see a sensor tower being built at some point. If you build a sensor tower here, you have a big amount of vision on this area and you still catch a bit of this as well. Then if you manage to grab the tower and put one unit here, you basically have full vision of your side of the map, of any kind of run-bys that could potentially happen. Now, actually see Stats moving forward, wants to shark forward, trying to get some damage done, but without a prism here, there's no real danger of him actually attacking. So Cure, of course, doesn't know that there's no prism. He's probably rather scared. You have a sensor tower on the way. Where is it? Oh my god, what a beautiful location. The only downside with this is that it can be sniped in theory from here with a couple of stalkers. So maybe if you build it over here, might be slightly better. You'll still be covering this major area and this major area, and then the rest should be covered by this tower. If you manage to grab that, of course. Now, Cure spots these zealots. Not sure why Stats hasn't moved them out of tower vision. If I was Cure, I'd just go into that. Yeah, you really do want to clean those guys up. Yeah, Stats realizes like, alright, I'm out of here. There's one Marine over here as a general spotter. This is a very passive game. Both players are not really wanting to attack into each other. Now, of course, this is a map that promotes passive play as it's difficult to attack. Like lots of chokes. No real easy rotations. Big choke here as well. So might turn into a bit of a longer game. So we have a 5th phase on the way for Stats as well. Who has now... He already has 3 Colossi. He's getting a 4th Colossi. Usually 3 Colossi is the number at which we see Protoss players stop. But not Stats apparently. Will be going into a 4th. I really dislike that he's still working off a single forge. 77 workers. Maxed. 1k in the bank and still working off a single force. He's just gonna put him so far behind in upgrades right now. This is his 2-2 getting halfway done, but 3-3 is already started for Cure, so Cure is ahead in upgrades, will be ahead for another 40-50 seconds, and then in a minute and a half all of a sudden he's gonna be up 2 full upgrades, which means that Stats going to have such a difficult time actually doing stuff on the map and then taking a good fight. I mean, he can be on the map, but he needs to be so careful with his army. The moment his Templars get EMP'd is the moment he needs to run back, because his units actually aren't better than Cure. Cure has a way better army. I love this setup though by Stats. So the way he wants to kind of poke forward. Oh, this is such a brilliant scam. This is such a good scam. Oh, Stats, nah, not really paying attention. He's gonna lose 5, 6, 7 zealots here. He's gonna lose a lot of zealots, and meanwhile he is moving forward, but this is such an awkward position to fight. They're kind of clumped up. There's no real way to retreat. These ghosts have absolutely everything with their EMPs, and there's only one way to go to. I feel like if Cure just jumps on top of this army, that might be in a lot of trouble. Vikings moving forward, Colossi are falling, and the bio is tearing the Immortals apart. So yeah, this fight is absolutely awful for Stats. This is what I was talking about. This is why this angle of engagement is so difficult. The moment you get caught, those EMPs hit the Templar, you have no DPS in your army anymore, and there's no real safe way to retreat here. The plan by Stats, I liked it though. I thought it was cool. What he wanted to do is he wanted to push into this base to force Cure's army to move over here, and then the Zealots were going to go ham into the 3rd base, maybe send like 4 or 5 into the natural as well. The only problem was that Cure somehow figured it out and just randomly scanned this area. I've honestly rarely seen this, but yeah, Cure managed to figure it out, did it, and now Cure is in a demanding lead. We still... Oh. We have Stats with the Dark Templar blinking in to kill this planetary. Might be in time. Yeah, we'll actually be able to stop the repair. He will out DPS the repair. Too good storm hitting by Stats as well. This is cool to watch. The way he plays PvP late game is very cool. I hardly ever see it work. Maybe that's because the majority of the time I watch the late game is against Maru or against Cure, so probably not the easiest opponents. Some good storms though, and it seems like Stats will be able to clean this up. We're killing that fort base, still having a bunch of these Templar alive. We'll try to jump into this base as well. Well, we won't even jump, we'll just take a quick stroll. They will be able to clean this up, so that's a little bit sloppy. Meanwhile, this army also got cleaned up. 66 workers for Cure against the 77 workers of Stats. If Stats actually would have been able to clear this base, that would have meant that there was not a single planetary left and no new command center. So that would have been really, really bad for Cure. Cure really needs this extra base. Stats' army looks like it's dangerous, but it's also very weak if it gets jumped upon and there's no disruptor shots available. So he needs to be extremely careful that he doesn't get flanked or like there's no real meat to this army. No Archons, no Charcoals, no Immortals, and right now there's just a single Purification Nova left, and it's kind of gonna get owned, I feel like. I mean, Stalkers are cool, but they don't fight well against Marauder Marine, so another poor engagement by Stats, who is doing a lot of things right. Like, he has good economy, he seems to be in charge of the game majority of the time, but yeah, he does need to be careful with these fights. Like these aggressive, overly aggressive fights are not really what you want to be doing. Where's the army right now of Stats? There's a lot of zealots here. Is it enough to deal with this? I'm not entirely sure. I might be able to target down this pylon before the warping finishes, but it's going to hurt a little bit. I think Stats might just be able to push this back. There's another big zealot warp in here, of course, with a couple of Dark Templars with that DT blink. +3 weapons finally complete, but +2 armor still isn't done yet. This is really the problem. He's been working off a single fort for so long that he's just been down in upgrades for so long. Well, that's a good blink. That was cool, and that was a cool Archon mark as well when the DT started getting low. Didn't really end up working out. We still see Cure in a bit of an army lead, but does get pushed back by Stats. So that's nice. 3 more DTs being warped in. I'm not sure why or where. I would love to see these go to this orbital, and I think Stats will do that because he's been seeing this mining. He's like, well, that's not a planetary. You're gonna need to send units over here or build a bunker. There's not even a turret here momentarily, so this is a very vulnerable location right now, which is the problem if you're using orbital commands to defend 4th bases or 5th bases. Ideally, you always have planetaries on anything that's not one of your first 3 bases. 2 DTs moving in will be able to clear a lot of these SCVs, and this game seems to be heading into Stats' favor. He does need to start thinking about a 6th base soon though. His natural is kind of mining out. His 3rd base is basically mained out as well. 12 workers have gone down, but I mean there's 5 command centers, so 12 workers is basically 2.5 production cycle for Cure. Not the biggest of deals. He is not extremely rich though, so it's still a little painful. I'd love for Stats to take the gold base right now. I think it would be a good call. He has pretty good control of the map. He needs to take this tower and then just kind of continue trading while taking this gold base, and then afterwards take this base and this base. I think that's the real play here for Stats, who has a fearsome army. I mean, there's 22 zealots, 2 more DCs are on the way. We'll be able to basically 2-shot this turret. Move out of scan range right now. How many scans are there available? I mean, there's 4 orbitals. There should be a couple of scans available, right? Actually, there's none. We have a nuke going into the natural base of Stats. Will Stats be able to figure this out? I don't think so. I'm not sure what Stats is doing, but he's not pulling away workers here. That's gonna be a big hit. I kill a couple of pylons as well. Yeah, we'll be able to take out 1 pylon and loses 9 workers. So, good nuke there by Cure. Does he have another nuke on the way? Yes, he does. Ghost will be hiding in this little nuke. Gets spotted by this observer. Continue DT harass, of course, still trying to do some damage. Yeah, I like this gold base, but I also love to see a couple of extra workers being produced here for Stats. Went down to 67 workers right now. He's also been way too passive with his army, honestly. When you have a disruptor army and you're doing DT harass at the same time, what you want to be doing is you just want to be poking at your opponent. This area is also really difficult to defend for Cure. If you come from the left side, you can just kind of stand above this 5th base, maybe a run by into the 3rd base. Just deny mining over here, and Cure will be in this general area, and we'll need to figure a way to get up either this ramp or this ramp. Now, another scan, or maybe actually the invisible ghost saw this army moving out, then we'll try to fight that. There's a couple of disruptors here. There's 2 colossi as well. Disruptor count is high, but it's not super high, right? Like, he needs to be careful with his disruptor shots. So he has 6 right now, but ideally you get like 7, 8, so you almost continuously can be making these purification Nova shots. I'm not quite sure what Cure's plan is here. Well, I think I know what Cure's plan is. His plan is to secure this base with a planetary. The moment he secures this base with a planetary, he automatically secures this area, which would be a big deal, because this area is really his only pain point that he has right now. It's like, you know, he can get hit here, and that's why he constantly needs to leave like 12 supply or something, or 10, 12 supply there. That's painful. This is a good zealot run by, but should be able to get cleaned up. No. Cure instead is like, you know what, you have 40 supply of zealots on my side of the map. That means your army is 40 supply less, because you have 5. And Stats didn't quite expect this, it feels like, was kind of caught out of position. Hasn't really been able to zone his opponent at all with these disruptors. Now that Lips are in position, I think Stats might be in a little bit of trouble. There's only 10 Stalkers here with this army, Brute Storms landing on top of the Vikings. Colossi aren't that useful against an army like this. I'd love Cure to just shut off this base and send like 8 or 7 Marines here to clear this general area. I mean, you don't need to attack this base. He can be pushing forward, of course. He might actually be able to take out both bases. Meanwhile, this Zealot run by is going absolutely ham on the other side of the map. 33 workers have gone down. So in Stats' mind, all he really needs to do is survive. The only problem is that surviving might actually be kind of a difficult task here. I mean, his army supply is 50 supply lower. He does have good income. I mean, he still has the gold mining, this base semi-mining, but he needs to deal with this army, and he needs to be able to deal with the reinforcement. I'd love to see a flanker. No, I don't think this was the correct call at all, this recall. He should have come from 2 sides with his army. Now the Liberators will be able to siege up into this position. Stalkers blinking in from the back will be able to take down all of these Liberators. Not quite for free, but relatively cheap. 2 more Disruptors are moving in. We have good weapons coming out of Stats here. Vikings are landing as well. Is there any Disruptor shots available? Yes, there are 2. 1 Disruptor falls before the shot finishes up, and it feels like Cure just has a little bit too much. And what a close game this was. Very interesting call by Cure to move in as he was getting a massive run by, but it ended up working out. I can't help but feel like that not having that +3 armor really hurt Stats. Back into game number 3 between Stats and Cure. I've never seen this wall before. Is this going to be a full wall as well if you build a core here? Perhaps it will be, because this bat-like structure will block part of the Reaper path, I guess. Not sure why the Batman logo is on this map, but I'm a fan. So we have Stats moving out of his base, and this probe is taking an interesting path. So if he's moving to the other side of the map, I'd be a little bit surprised. I wouldn't mind seeing a... Yeah, that's a proxy pylon. That is proxy pylon material indeed. Second gas is out as well, so Cure can smell it. Oh, Cure can definitely smell it. It's like sending my SV across the map. Let's see what's going on the other side. Okay, this is a cool wall. I didn't know this was possible. No, Cure on the other hand, once again, it's so standard. This guy does the same every single game. What a powerful routine. Oh, sees the complete lack of a natural base. Now sees there is a natural base. Like, this smells fishy. No second pylon in the main base. Double gas is done already. That is straight Stargate, my friend. Let's see what Cure is going to do about it. Will most likely just be sending his Reaper across the map. As we see this Adept being chrono boosted out. Won't be in time though to deal with this Reaper, man. This Reaper is fast. He's afraid to go in though, which I kind of respect. So we'll be taking a a path around. The funny thing is, if he would have gone in straight away, probably would have been able to kill 1 or 2 workers. Might still be able to get a worker here if he pays attention. No. No attention is being paid here. Stats is paying attention, saw his Reaper hiding in that location. Curry now's like, oh, how stealthy I am, such a sneaky boy. We'll get into the main base though, it doesn't even matter. It's a very tricky area to deal with as pros. I can give stats that. Now we do have that Reaper into the main base and gets the full scout once again. And he knows what's gonna happen. He most likely knows it's going to be an Oracle. CC is built on the high ground as a safety precaution. You have a tech lab on this. I'm not sure if this is on time. I thought it was the play was going to be a mine and 4 marines or something like that, but he's taking out the big guns right now. We see a factory with a cyclone. It's not actually in time. This is not a well thought out build at all. Maybe the goal is to get him to bait to attack 2 of your marines and then the cyclone finishes. Oh! This was a very poor response by Cure. He got kinda lucky that Stats first of all built his Stargate far away. If it was over here and he would have gone straight into his mineral line, I think he would have killed 6-7 workers for free. I'm gonna call this was not a good response by Cure whatsoever. I really prefer just seeing like 4 marines and a mine so you can properly defend against the Oracle. This was slightly risky. Now, of course, when your Cyclone does finish, that's very nice. You basically disable this this Oracle for a very long time now before, well, it's gonna need more Phoenixes, I guess, to be able to lift these kind of units. I kinda like this build by Stats. I don't mind it one bit. The Nexus is still pretty much on time. You confuse your opponent a fair amount. He still has a fast third base as well. This is of only 2 gateways. And his Stargate unit count is extremely high. Now, the reason why I find this save up so cool is because usually when a Stargate is being proxied, you don't see this many Vikings, or this many Phoenixes. So right now, what Cure is preparing for is maybe like 3 Stargate units, right? So 2 Cyclones would be completely fine. Like, if there's 2 Oracles and a Phoenix, or, you know, you would be fine with this. But if there's 4 Phoenix and a single Oracle, he can kill those Cyclones. He can lift 1 Cyclone with the Phoenixes, the other one shoot at it with an Oracle. He's baiting in. This is absolutely beautiful. This is really beautiful. Waits for a 5th Phoenix even. Oh, and the chase starts. Cure is so fast. Against most other players, I think he just would have gotten both of those Cyclones basically for free. Now he will be able to get a lot of workers for free, which is also kind of a big deal. I don't like these continued Adept War wins though. It seems like Stats is... I think he misread the situation a bit. I don't think he quite realized that Stim is already done, because if he had, he probably would have loved to start Forge and Twilight a lot faster. Pick up once again by Stats, who knows there is no starport units out yet. I would love to see this go behind this army and just try to pick up some reinforcements. There is a double mine drop heading into the main base. Does get barely missed by Stats. And this army is it big enough? Yeah, it might just be big enough. Oh, Cure moves in his Stats in time. We'll be able to move away. Oh. This is not completely worth it here for Cure. The only problem I have with this is that he didn't actually manage to clear those mines yet. 2 Stalkers do get warped in. I mean, this should be fine, right? He does have a battery here. He has a Guardian Shield, which is a massive help in this kind of defense. And here comes the cavalry. Will be able to pick off a lot of Marines. I think he should just lift everything. Yeah, exactly. But he cancel this one. 4 micro here by Stats. We lose a Phoenix for basically free. Should lift the Marauders. Yeah, this is good. This is looking very good for Stats right now. Has a 3rd base, floating a lot of money though. A little bit sloppy. How many gates are we at? I'm also not entirely sure about the Blink. The reason I say that is because Blink and Phoenixes don't really synergize well together. As Phoenixes, they need an army that can jump on their opponent, and then the Phoenix lifts some key units, whether that be mines or tanks or marauders. You basically get some units for free while they're kiting backwards from most of the time charge lots. They also work pretty well with Colossi, where, you know, they tank a lot of the Viking shots, which makes the Colossi very dangerous for a very long time, until there's like a very high Viking count. Now, the problem I have with Blink is that Blink is an army that needs to fight over time very carefully with a lot of force fields. So first of all, you're already investing a lot of gas into the Phoenixes. Then you need to start investing a lot of gas into sentries in order to push off your opponent, basically. Be like, hey, not like this. Then the Storm. Like, I like Storm charge, I like Archon charge with Phoenixes, but I'm really not a fan of it with Blink after a Phoenix opener. And Stats did have a very good opener, so I feel like with charge he'd be able to put on a lot more plays as well. 2 Stalkers and a cannon in the main base. 4 Phoenixes are nearby. Yeah. This should be completely doable. No real vision on the map though for Stats. Oh, he does have a revelation on this army, so it should be fine. Combat shield getting closer to being done now as well. Cure got in a very bad position in this early game, and he's gonna be struggling to get back into this. Once again, I'd love to see a second forge here for Stats. He's really been lacking upgrades, and when you're pushing such a big, like when you have such a big lead, like there's nothing wrong with getting a second forge very quickly, like before you get your 4th base even. I do like this 4th base timing. I don't like the location of the 4th base very much. I much would have preferred this location as a fort. This one is so vulnerable to any attack, and Stats does decide to, well, not take a fort for a bit now, as a prism is about to hit the field. Is there any Templar already? Yes, there is Templar. Now, this army would be absolutely fantastic if charge was done already. Sadly, it's not. So, an attack here for Stats might be harder to pull off, as his army quality just isn't as high. He's looking for a fight, though, that's for sure. We see Cure kind of sharking around the map once again, trying to pick up anything he can find. And I don't think he's going to be able to find too much. These Phoenixes are so good at chasing. We'll be able to pick up a couple of units. Good Storms going down, hitting actually a lot of those Marines. And the more Marine heavy an army, the worse of course it's going to get. This looks very, very bad for Kier, honestly. I don't really see a way for him to hold this charge. It's not done yet. That's really the only reason he's still in the game. And 24 Zealots that are slow and basically completely useless. Will just be kited to death. A couple of mine hits, not really the mine hits he wants. He needed to be splashing on top of those Zealots. I mean, there is a couple of farms available. First, kind of misses one thing. Now these Zealots are so bad right now. A couple of decent mine hits onto that charge, finishes in 9 seconds, and I doubt it's going to be enough. The good blink forward here by Stats is like, alright, I killed 10 workers already. I'm killing all of your stuff right now, and charge finally does finish up. 51 workers against 65. The army supply for Cure still looking relatively healthy. There is more Ghost on the way, but I don't think this is going to be enough. I mean, yeah, GG gets called. Stats wins game number 3 as well, and we'll move on into the Olimo League next round, which I will be casting somewhere this week as well. So if you did like this video, feel free to subscribe to this channel. If you want to get the replays yourself, you can get the Olimo League Patreon, patreon.com/Olimo League, and you can subscribe for $5 a month. Get those replays yourself, and otherwise don't forget to subscribe to this channel. That is free. Leave a comment down below and smack that like button. It helps me a lot. Thanks everyone for watching, and see everyone next time. Bye bye.